I think that the voice memos, oddly enough, actually, I think that the iPhone microphone is surprisingly decent, except for when you're attempting to make a phone call, then it sucks. But I think there's just compression that gets added there. I actually used to, well, the Ego Death EP that's out, System 32.
Yes.
All of that was recorded with GarageBand on my phone. Like, it's just like me like putting my iPhone like on top of my like guitar amps and recording from there. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I record like even still to this day. I have like all the Ego Death demos for the album that we're working on. Not all of them, but
So you guys are working on an Ego Death album?
Oh yeah, we're working on a new album right now. That's what we're putting our main focus into.
Nice.
But I think I have the vocals muted. I'll unmute them for the sake of just being straight up and presenting the music. But yeah, here, this is a GarageBand project on my phone. It's got everything in there, and it's pretty unorganized.
Wait, and you recorded all of it through your iPhone's microphone?
Yep. The final, this is just a demo.
Okay.
Well, what I was getting to is that System 32 actually wasn't even supposed to be released. In fact, that's not even the band Ego Death. That's me playing every single instrument.
See, I was talking to Gabe, and he told me that. He was like, you recorded all the instruments on the EP.
Yeah. So I didn't write everything. Matthew wrote the riff for Bastard's Poem, and he sang it. That's him screaming on that one.
Really?
Yeah. That's Matthew screaming. That's not me. And Matthew wrote like the guitar parts and stuff for that, but
That is cool.
it was me playing.
So this next album, you're going to have more collaboration with everybody?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be the whole band. But right now, for at least the songs that I'm writing on there, it's just easier for me to I'm not gonna be able to remember something if I don't record it, and just doing a voice memo of me playing guitar and singing doesn't really do it justice. So I don't know. I have a good background playing drums and bass and pretty mediocre keyboard, but I try and guitar and stuff. So just naturally when I'm working on something and I get a cool idea anywhere, on any instrument, I'm like, ooh, it'd be cool if the drums did this here and the bass. And so yeah, so this demo is on me as well, but this is something that we're gonna have to re-record for the new Ego Death album.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you on every instrument?
yeah.
What's stopping you from putting that out like right now?
I don't think the band is. I think the band wants more involvement. I think that I've gotten pretty good at mixing and making stuff on GarageBand sound as good as it can, but it is very unconventional, and I think that System 32 specifically doesn't necessarily hold up with like anything that like might like have the potential of like legitimately like going forward and like might make the band like get out of Pensacola. So not that I think that that's a realistic standard, but I'd at least like to give the whole experience of being in a band more of an effort than just trying to get a good local following. I think that it's possible. I think Ego Death has something like 125,000 streams overall on SoundCloud right now. So I think that there's a like a sizable following on Ego Death that extends beyond a local following. And I think what I've written for the new album so far, I think kind of falls under the niche of songs that have blown up of what's out there from Ego Death right now. But yeah, so the plan is we're going to record the album at the Bug House and the Shed there, and Grover, I guess, is going to produce it. And,
Wow.
Or not produce it, but like be the engineer.
Okay.
And from there, I'll probably like inquire somebody professional on the internet to mix and master it. And that'll probably cost like $1,000. But I think the best album that's been made by like any of these local Pensacola bands that have been like within like our scene and like was No Fun by Dead Bugs. Dead Bugs were a really good band, and
I actually never listened to their music.
Dead Bugs were a super good band. They broke up around the time the pandemic hit, but it was Grover from the Bug House. He was a drummer.
Love him.
And then this guy named Drew. A lot of the other people, I'll see them at shows occasionally, but they're not really involved in any local music anymore. And then this guy named Drew Coates fronted it, and then this guy named Will was the bass player. I see him at shows a lot, or not as much anymore, but like.
Well, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about this because Gabe and I were talking about this, and like I think since the pandemic has happened, or is still going on, but since like the first big quarantine, like because of venues shutting down and stuff, I feel like we're in a completely new scene.
I think so. I think that there's definitely a lot of influence from the older bands, and I think that it's important to acknowledge that a lot of the bands that were going then are still around, and the Taints did a show with Resolve a while ago. They were in that same scene. They're still going.
Was the Taints part of the old scene, or are they kind of like new?
The Taints have been doing shows, I want to say maybe like less than a year, but like somewhere around like 6 to 8 months, like before I really like became like an actual part of the local music scene. And they started doing shows at a really unfortunate time. 'Cause they like got their shit together and like started like doing like getting ready to be a band like right when the pandemic hit. And I think the Taints kind of manifested from, I think most of them went to high school together and they were pretty close around that time, and they were going to the shows at the Bug House with Dead Bugs and all those old bands, so they were like a part of the scene, like as far as like being not as the band but just like being involved. And I think that's kind of how they manifested. Every time, actually last night I was jamming with Grover on some of the Dead Bug songs, and I guess I did a pretty good impression of their singer Drew. And like all the Taints like kind of took notice and like were like singing with it, and you could kind of see that they were getting emotional, reminiscing back on that time. And then they were like, "Wait a minute, fuck, Dylan, is this you?" Like, I thought this was a Deadbugs, but it was me and Grover, like, jamming on their songs. But no, I think No Fun by Deadbugs is the best sounding album that's, like, not just as far as substance goes, but also just, like, produced, like, mixed and mastered. I think Deadbugs, No Fun, sounds the best of any album that has been recorded in our local scene. I'll play a song from it real quick.
The vocals are kind of giving me like the Pixies a little bit.
Yeah. Drew is I was trying to imitate Drew, so I was jamming on a few of the Deadbug songs with Grover a while ago, like I was talking about, and especially like the faster like punk stuff, like Drew, like trying to imitate him. It's just like trying to do like really high pitched screaming. Like I'll play like a more upbeat song by Deadbugs, or like a punk song. I'll play me and Grover jamming on that same song.
Yes, I was like, did you record your session?
Yeah, it's a voice memo on my phone, and Grover learned a few of the new demos that the band hadn't learned for the new Ego Death album. That was my first time jamming on those, like, in person, and that was really fun. And towards the end, we did some Deadbugs.
Who was playing?
This is just me and Grover. I'm playing guitar.
I mean, you were up there.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love to see that live.
Yeah, they were talking about the Taints are saying that that Deadbugs need to reform and just because like the whole band like hates each other now.
Oh.
Like,
I guess I didn't ask how or why they broke up.
well, they all lived together at the bug house, and I don't know the full story. I've never quite. It seems like a touchy subject a little bit. I think I kind of know bits and pieces of what's happened, but not exactly. I think that their guitar player Nathan left like before anybody else did, and like then it was just like the three guys, Grover, Drew, and Will, and they were all still living together. And I think like the dynamic of like having to live together, being a band, but also like Grover's like our landlord, like we have to like pay this guy like money to like live. And I've heard a lot of drama from like Grover's point of view, just like being in a band just in general is like super dramatic, like unnecessary drama like happens all the time that like always fucks with like the dynamic of how the band's working, and just like having to like live with each other and everybody's girlfriend. Yeah, so I think it's kind of all dissolved from there, and the pandemic didn't really help. A lot of the like bars and like places that like the Pensacola punk scene was playing, like the Handlebar, and the Handlebar closed before
A while ago.
Before
so did
COVID.
Sluggos, right?
And I want to say that like Sluggos and Shizuko and Night Moves, I want to say those all kind of fell apart around. Maybe Sluggos fell apart earlier than COVID, but like Shizuko and like Night Moves, whatever was left in Pensacola where these punk bands were going, those all closed, and they're really like the Dead Bugs have broken up, and so there was nowhere to really play music, and nobody was really going up to shows anyway. And I think the Taints specifically really did a lot to reform the scene, because even like it was definitely not the smart or safe idea. They were doing shows over in Foley at Hood Rat Skate Cooks. They were the only place that were willing to even do shows, and there was nowhere else to even go.
Wow.
And the Taints were really the only band that were playing. And then,
were you part of them by this point?
No, I didn't join the Taints until again like a little less than a year after they had already been going.
Okay.
I want to say they started like around that around that time, like I don't know, like spring 2020, when like everything started closing down. I think that's when the Taints started doing shows. I didn't get involved with them. Like the first time I saw them like live, it was me, Owen, and Liam. All like Liam's a drummer for Ego Death and Owen's a keyboard player. This was before we had a band together, and we went to Hood Rat and watched the Taints play, and we were like, damn, we should make an effort to try and start a band. But at that point, it was kind of just like that kind of like conversation that like you just have with like your friends. It's like, we should start a band. Like nobody takes it really seriously. Like everyone's like, hell yeah, let's do it. But like in the back of your mind, it's like, it's not gonna happen. And so then we went and saw them again somewhere in Pensacola, and it's like at a tattoo shop, I think. Three of us went again. I was belligerently drunk, and I finally mustered up the confidence to talk to Zach. And so then me and Owen went to go hang out with Zach, and like at his house, and we were jamming together. And I think "Walk on the Wild Side" by Lou Reed. I think that was the song we were playing. And Zach was like, "You guys are really good. We have a show in a month, and you guys should open for us." And we were like, okay, like me and Owen were. And we got back in the car, and we were like, fuck, what? We don't even have a band, like, or any songs. And so Liam, he didn't even know how to play the drums or any instrument. He had no background in any instrument. And like, I just kind of had to teach him enough to do the show. And like Matthew, I went to high school with. He's a good bit younger than I am. But I went to Matthew and I texted him, and I said, Matthew's interesting. I was my girlfriend that I had for like all of high school, she was really good friends with Matthew. Like they were in a tight-knit friend group of like 3 people together, and then they had a falling out, and then I was like never allowed to talk to him ever again. And then we broke up, and I was in like a very like low point in life, and was like, I am going to start a band before I keep getting sad and do stuff I'm going to regret. So I was like, fuck it, what do I have to lose? So yeah, so me and Owen were writing songs, and then that whole shit happened with Zach, and we were like, fuck, we have a month to, like, start a band and, like, write enough songs to do live, and,
Because Zach
also
wanted you to play with him?
yeah, and also have to teach Liam how to play drums, and, so then I texted Matthew, I was like, hey, do you still want to start a band together? Because me and Owen had made a group chat full of, like, local musicians in Milton that we knew that might be interested in doing something, and Matthew was the only real person that seemed like he had, like, any interest in, like, possibly going forward with it. So I texted him, I was like, hey, do you still want to be in a band? He was like, yeah, I would love to. And I was like, okay, great, we have a show in a month. And he's like, what? And he's like, do we have any songs? So I was like, no, we're gonna do it. And he's like, okay. And yeah, before the first Ego Death show we did, it was in December of 2020 for a timeline, and we opened for the Taints at Hood Rat. We would practice, and we could not get through an entire song. So, like, when it came down to, like, the actual showtime, we planned all these, like, all this crazy shit to happen. Like, Owen's little brother, Zach, shaved all his hair off. Like, Owen was, like, throwing, like, Vienna sausages into the crowd. Zach had, like, a kinky, like, BDSM whip that he was, like, hitting me with the whole time. Like, we just planned all this shit to happen to, like, distract everybody that we were, like, a really shitty band. But we sounded better than I think anybody expected to, even though we didn't sound great. But, like, it was still, like, generally, like, a good time, and I'm surprised that we continued to, like, progress as a band. And I'm glad we did, but that's how Ego Death started.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, people really just want a good time when they go to shows.
Yeah. So I think the Taints and Ego Death, I think, did a lot to kind of reform the scene. I think that there's a lot of bands that have come after, and I think as a response to the Taints and Ego Death being bands, I think there's a lot of younger kids, like kids still in high school, that have been starting bands that looked at the Taints and Ego Death and been like, wow, let's do this. But, like, in a part of, like, trying to reform a Pensacola scene, like, it's difficult, and it's even still difficult now, because, like, all these places from before are closed, so, like, we had to resort to, like, just finding places in Pensacola that we thought looked cool, getting to know the person that owned it, and then talking them into letting us put a punk show on. That's how Dixieland became a venue. Ego Death played the first show at Dixieland was Ego Death and the Taints. And yeah, I think we just, like, I think Gabe and Zach, like, passed Dixieland, like, driving. We were like, this place is interesting. And they, like, got to know Heather, and then, like, eventually, like, I think they would, like, go down there and volunteer, like, for, like, free work and stuff. And then they're like, hey, you know, if you want to drum up some business, you know, we're in a band, we know a few bands, and, like, we could do a show over here. I remember the first show at Dixieland was kind of a disaster a little bit, but
and, like, attendance or, like, money?
No, not that. I remember all of our equipment, like, fucked up that night for Ego Death. That was, like, our second show ever.
Okay.
Yeah, that Hood Rat show, that was the first one, and then the second Ego Death show was the first show that was ever done at Dixieland. But again, that's just kind of what we've had to do. What we had to do in the beginning to try and reform a local music scene was because there's nowhere to play music, so we just have to, like, find places to do it. And, like, that was a good example. And I'm honestly really upset that Heather blocked everybody and is not doing shows anymore.
She blocked me too recently.
She blocked everybody. She blocked her. She blocked every single person.
Well, she was doing it in waves because everyone was like, "Oh, did you get blocked?" I'm like, "No, I'm still free." And then, like, more people got blocked. I'm like, "I'm still not blocked." And I even messaged her and I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she was like, "There's so many dream killers out there." I'm like, she was like calling the music scene here like hell or something. And I was like, "Whoa, okay, well." And then, like, a couple weeks later, I checked again and I was blocked. Damn.
I don't know. So
I wish her the best, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like one of the things that we had to do and resort to for
trying to reform something, was trying to find places to do shows where doing shows was not conventional, like, and like sound and everything, like, it's just like, it's not like how like concerts should sound, but doing that. And then for a while we were working with rappers and like Mobile, like Oni Mask and stuff, and then I didn't necessarily enjoy that chapter of everything. I think that Ego Death is gonna go back to those like downtown, like the Music Box and the Merry Widow. I've been talking to Ye from Hood Rat about it, and like he like I trust him enough to like be able to. We've been talking about co-organizing a punk show to happen down there with the local bands, me and him.
With no rappers?
Yeah. So I was talking to him about last night too, because I was over there. So trying to put something like that together over there in like the next few months. So that might be happening, but no, yeah. And then like now, even still, it's kind of hard to do shows in Pensacola without pissing someone off, because like the only two places in Pensacola right now are like the Easygoing Gallery, and then the Dizzy Arts are renting out that American Legion post, and it's like nothing against the Dizzy Arts or anything. I know that you or I even did this interview. I'm not trying to say anything to like attack anyone.
I criticize Adam all the time.
I'm not trying to say anything that's gonna piss anybody off. Where I'm at, I'm just a musician, and I'm really not up there to try and push drama in any direction. I just am there to make music, and I want to share my voice, I guess. But like the thing is, like with those being the only two places right now, it seems like shows are happening in Pensacola. There's also the Bug House, but that's so like I think Ego Death, we're planning a show at the Bug House in March sometime.
Okay.
But the main two places in Pensacola right now are like the Easygoing Gallery and Dizzy, who's like been renting out that American Legion post.
Do you feel that it's like restricted because it's only
it seems like it's kind of difficult to do a show in Pensacola without pissing somebody off. Actually, I almost canceled the show yesterday, but I didn't. I got everything cleared up. I've never worked with the Dizzy Arts, so I kind of like in a situation where I have to talk about something important, like how the finances of the show are going and drama and stuff. I kind of have to prepare for the worst case scenario, but thankfully Adam was very respectful with me and was very open to discussion, and was really, he wanted to make sure my concerns were met. So I don't have any I don't have any drama towards anybody, but yeah, no. So what I think happened is Burning Tiger, that band on tour, or Blind Tiger, sorry. Blind Tiger, they're on tour. They put a deposit down at the Easygoing Gallery for that same night.
Which is still so weird to me that you have to put down a deposit.
Yeah, I'll get to that as well. And the whole deposit system that's going on in venues right now. But they put a deposit down at the Easygoing Gallery on the same night that we were doing the show. And we booked that show at Legion, like, I think, like, November or December. So, like, it was a complete coincidence that there was another show happening that night. Because they didn't even... I don't know how long that was a plan, but they didn't post about it until late January. And we had the show scheduled for, like, months in advance. Or months prior to that. So it was completely unrelated. But, so yeah, it was Blind Tiger. They put a deposit down, and their support, like the other bands, were like all these like, or like all those bands with the like straight edge hardcore kids, like Accident Prone, all those other bands. That was their support for that night. And so then we started advertising that we were doing the show at Legion on the same night. And it wasn't Blind Tiger, it was the straight edge kids that I talked to a few of them, not together, but like individually, and I've kind of come to the consensus that all of these kids in those bands, not Blind Tiger, like unanimously came to the like consensus that if Ego Death does a show on the same night as us somewhere else, then nobody's gonna go watch us play. And so it was one of those bands, not Blind Tiger, that said, can we play with you guys at this show tonight instead? And so then Adam took them in. So I talked to Josh on the night that the Taints were there, like 2 days ago. And
he's in Cairo.
No, not Josh, the
Oh.
the musician. I'm like the DJ Dog guy, the guy that owns Easy Go Gallery.
Will?
I thought his name was Josh.
It's William Bowers.
The guy with glasses and a beard. Yeah, I was talking to him because that guy really respects me too. Ego Death played at the first Easy Going Gallery show that was done, and they didn't know how to they didn't know how to run sound for a band, so I ran sound that night for the first show they did. Yeah, and so that guy really respects me because you know, I put on a good show every time I'm there, and I give him a lot of effort. So, you know, he really likes me. He like always makes an effort to talk to me whenever I'm there. Because like, I mean, if you get hit up by a band that put a deposit down somewhere, and they're like, hey, we're doing this show tonight, you guys should come out and do this with us. If you don't make any effort to ask if they'll pay you to do it, they won't, because they're not gonna bring it up. And you know, I kind of learned that the hard way, realizing that there are some bands that didn't that were performing with us that got hit up that are getting paid, and then we're not, and I didn't even know that. I didn't think anybody was. I figured the organizers were, but you know, if you don't make an effort to say hey, when they ask you this, okay, cool, how are door sales getting split, then they're not going to tell you any information regarding that. And it's so easy to get fucked over, and so easy to just not make money. So when I got that text I got texted that flyer from a few different people that morning, and that decision with Blind Tiger on the bill, that had to have been made within 12 hours after I had that conversation with Will. So I not immediately, but eventually I was like, oh shit, well, they're on tour, so I know that they are thinking about getting their money's worth, and you know, maybe not making profit, but you know, financing everything. So I know that they've already talked about this with Adam and the Dizzy Arts about how that's gonna work. And so again, if you don't ask questions, then you get fucked over every time. You do the show, it's too late. You go and put that show on, and if you didn't make an effort to talk about it before,
talk about money beforehand,
then you're not making any money. So I had to text Adam, and I was hey, with all due respect, I know that they put a deposit down at the Easy Going Gallery that night, and I am aware that this decision with putting them on the bill had to have been made recently, and so I had to ask what is going on with the finances of this, because right now, as it stood, it was gonna get split between I think 20% being taken by the Dizzy Arts to pay to rent out Legion for the night and for them to make money and stuff, and for you.
It's 20% to Legion, and then 10% goes to Dizzy.
I wasn't super involved in doing that. I gave my suggestions to Matthew, but I let him handle it, so I honestly didn't even know a whole lot. But again, you don't have if you don't know, then something like that happens, and in my experience, if you don't ask questions and know for sure, then you could just get fucked over and not even know about it. So so I texted Adam. I was like, hey, what's the plan now that there's 8 bands playing? Are we still splitting this in between all the artists, or is it gonna go to Blind Tiger since they're on tour and they've already paid to do a show that night? And from what I've gathered, and I talked to everybody to make sure, I think it's still gonna be the same plan as normal, and the 3 original bands are gonna get paid. But I guess Blind Tiger has just kind of cut their losses with that deposit, and they were just excited to do a show that night anyway. And I talked to Josh, and because my only other concern after that was, okay, what about the 5 other bands that got added to the bill that are from Pensacola? But no, so I was wondering, were they originally supposed to get paid at that show at the Easy Going Gallery? Because I just don't want to fuck anybody over, because at the end of the day, I'm not saying all this stuff so that Ego Death doesn't get fucked over. I want every band that's there to be aware of what's happening and to agree with it. And if there wasn't an agreement, then there's still a week, and we can rearrange something to where everybody can come to an agreement and nobody's like getting fucked over out of anything, and that everybody is on the same page and everybody knows. And I texted Josh and he said, yeah, we're fine with
Will?
not Will, Josh from like they're there and like the
Okay.
because I reached out to him directly because I didn't want to go through he said, she said. I wanted to know directly from the bands that like, you know, I like care about this being a good show, not just for me, but for everybody performing, and that everybody knows and it can agree on how everything's happening. So everything is weird, and like nobody's making an effort to talk about this kind of stuff. So
I was kind of worried that because this was initially your guys' show, and that everyone else got added onto it, that would kind of take away from like this being like an Ego Death show.
I don't really like have the hubris to like care about like it being like a headlining show. I just like didn't want there to be a decision where like somebody's depending on making money tonight, and they're like being like under the impression that we're gonna get a cut of this, and then it happens, like the show happens, and it's like, hey, where's our money? You know, I think that all artists deserve to be paid, but the thing is, like, in this whole decision, in this merge, like, I just like wasn't like I didn't know about most of this stuff until after like it had already been done. So you know, it's hard for me to like here I am, like I'm like in between doing these two shows, like this has all happened like in the last 2 days.
Yeah, that's a lot to happen.
Yeah. So like I'm like, okay, well, all right, let's like actually talk about like what's going on, because like if the decision's being left to me, like I feel like I at least need to like be told like what's going on and stuff,
Or how to properly manage everything.
And like this whole time I've been like not been getting information directly from Adam or directly from anybody like actually like really like involved in like managing getting this show together. I've been going through Matthew, and
technically he is the person who's organizing the event,
right? But like all of these questions, like I just know that Matthew like himself like isn't really going to be able to give me an answer like Adam would, or like anything like that. So like I've just kind of like recently had to be like, well, fuck this, I'm not going through, nothing against Matthew, but like I can't just keep going through him, because like I'll text Matthew and I'll get a response like 8 hours later,
because he's busy too.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I need to talk to Adam, and I need to just like straightforward know what's going on, so I can make sure that not just us are like getting, because with that, like, and not being told about everything, like there could be a decision that got made with the money that happened that like I wouldn't have known about, and then like somebody's not getting paid, or like even like I was concerned that we might not even get paid anymore. Not that I have priority over Ego Death. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's my band, and like that's why I'm there. But I care about everybody being accounted for in general, and even if everybody doesn't get paid, I at least want all the bands to be able to come to an agreement on something, and that everybody knows, and that nobody's not cool with something. And I just don't want there to be any bad blood between any of the people putting on the show. So I just want transparency and everybody to be aware of what's going on. So I got all that cleared up. Adam was really respectful with me. He made sure all my concerns were met. It was a very positive conversation I had with him. And then I've reached out to Blind Tiger. I'm going to take his word on that whole thing, Adam's, because Blind Tiger's on tour. I feel like if I try and shoot them a DM, like just being my like low-key personal Instagram account, that they're probably not going to like really receive it, or like, because I know that's just how bands work. Like people will DM the Ego Death or the Taints, and like I won't see them until like months later. So, but I did reach out to Josh from the other bands, and told him everything that was going on, just so that like everybody knows, and that like nobody's like, oh, I'm not cool with this, you know. So yeah, so we talked about it, and I guess it is going to be the original 3 bands that were playing, getting paid, and I guess Blind Tiger cut their losses with the Easygoing Gallery, and from what Adam said, he was just happy that they were going to be on a better stage with a PA system, and they were just happy to do the show. And I don't think that the other bands were even going to get paid in the beginning, but I kind of figured that would be the case, because I remember like doing shows with Accident Prone and Beskar at Dixieland. They would never take money from Heather anytime they played
Really?
there. Yeah.
Oh.
Like after all that shit happened with Styles and Addison, especially, they were like, hire security and give any cut that you're gonna give to us to them. Pay the people who are working here with the money you're gonna give to us. We don't need to get paid tonight. So I kind of figured that they would be cool with that, and that I did. And Adam said that he was under the impression that they weren't getting paid from the beginning at the Easygoing Gallery show, but I just wanted to be sure of that and not be given some kind of information that came from somebody who went to somebody else, who went to somebody else, and went to me. I asked Josh directly just to make sure. So, as far as I know, everything's good now. But I just wanted to be sure, because with last minute decisions like that, there might have been another last minute decision that went down with like financing.
There could be one right now that we don't even know about.
Yeah, so I just needed to make sure that I knew what was going on. Because if the decision's being left to like me and if it's a like Ego Death and the other band's decision, you know, I feel like I need to know about everything and make sure there's not anything else that I don't know that is like another variable that like leads to something happening. And that's why I said that I might cancel it, because I didn't know. And I was preparing for the worst, and I was like, well, if something happens and like we really just don't have control over this, and like then maybe it might not be smart. But no, everything's cool now.
That's good.
Yeah.
To wrap up the interview portion of this, I guess, because it is getting a little bit cold.
Yeah.
What do you want for Ego Death in like the next, I would say, year at least?
Right now, Ego Death's working on writing a new album. We're aiming for 12 songs, and I think 9 of them are completely written, and the rest of them like have started being conceptualized. We just have to put the pieces together and get demos recorded. Aiming for that to come out sometime within the next 6 months or so. It's going to be straying away from a lot of the punk rock influence that I think has dominated a lot of the Pensacola scene, and I think that this album specifically is going to be a bit more true to the name Ego Death. It's going to be a bit more psychedelic, a bit more folky, and a bit more personal about everybody's feelings about growing up and transitioning into like actual adulthood. So trying to write some music that will, I think, speak to a lot of people and grab people emotionally. And we hope to go on a small tour of Florida, maybe hit a few cities like, I don't know, like Jacksonville, Tampa, Tallahassee, just kind of like, I guess that's not South Florida, like Miami. There's a few local bands from the old days that I've talked to, and I've been getting to know a little bit about all of the bigger cities in Florida and which cities have bigger developed alternative punk music scenes, and like where Ego Death would fit in and where we wouldn't. So planning on doing a tour of Florida, also possibly sometime within the next year or so, 2023, if things open up. I've also had a few talks about doing some shows in New York. That's something that I've talked about with the band. Maybe try and spread forward there. I guess generally just getting this album out, putting a lot of effort into making it sound not like just a local band demo, but more of a all-around like good produced album that can spread far, spread maybe beyond Pensacola, and not just get everybody here's speak to them, but to speak to everybody, and start trying to push music out forward into Florida. Maybe if we stay together and keep our shit together, maybe more just towards North America in general. Obviously I don't have high hopes of being a rock star or anything. I don't expect to be so lucrative and do this for a living, but
I kind of think you're a rock star, though.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's all kind of happened within the past year, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we started like late 2020, like November, December. So really, the main bulk of everything has come out of like a year's worth of work. So I guess we've gotten some good progress under our shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
How excited are we for having Shelby on board?
Very excited. I think that Shelby is a great songwriter, and I think that something that a lot of people can have looking forward to for this upcoming show next weekend on the 12th. Shelby's a great songwriter. She's fantastic. She has a few original songs on her SoundCloud account that are very good. She's a very good songwriter, and she's a very good singer and just all-around musician. We're going to be adding some of Shelby's original music to our set list, and we have one of her songs that we are hoping to get up there in our set for next weekend, so people have that to look forward to.
Like Shelby on vocals?
Yeah. But no, Shelby's an amazing musician, and I've always thought that she was a great songwriter. And, it's great to have another songwriter in the band. We already have a few songs worked out of hers that are going to go on the upcoming Ego Death record, and some stuff that we're going to do live as well, hopefully coming up this weekend. But, it's just a new chapter for the band. It's great to have another songwriter and especially another singer on board. So I think that with Shelby on board, we have some work to do as a band, getting that chemistry in with a new band member, and that might take a little bit. Hopefully we'll get it together this weekend. Maybe we won't, but either way, it'll work out. She's got most of the songs down now anyway. She's gonna do just fine. But all around, I think that it's going to work really well, and I think that we're starting to enter a new chapter for Ego Death, and one that I think will bring something new to the table that the band hasn't seen yet. So all around, great feelings about it, and I think that everybody is going to enjoy it, or I hope so. If you liked Ego Death already. If you hated us, then you might still. But maybe you won't, because Shelby's good. Maybe she's a better songwriter than I am. She got some good ones. Some up-and-coming bands. I've noticed that there's been a lot more bands with younger people, and I think that's great. I think that me and myself, it took me years to build up the confidence to begin even writing songs. I've been playing like guitar and bass. I've been playing instruments since I was 14, and I didn't start writing songs or anything or taking that seriously until I was 20. So what I have to say is that if you are up and coming or just a musician in the Pensacola metropolitan area, and you are aware of the local music scene, whether it be Ego Death, The Taints, Feed Lennon, any of these fantastic local bands that are, I'm not going to call Ego Death fantastic, but any of these up-and-coming local bands, and you're aware of these shows, even if you don't have the confidence yet to get up there and start a band and put yourself out there, go to these shows. It's great. You meet so many people, so many artists and musicians who probably, if you were interested, don't be shy, because they'll probably, if you ask them to jam with you, if you're cool enough with them, they'll do it. And, just, even if you don't think that you're good enough, just, even if you don't have the confidence, just try and fake it. Just stick to your roots and show them what you got, because wherever you are, there's an audience for it, and somebody will stick around and listen. I guess if you make music, do what you can or play an instrument, do what you can to extend your voice and be heard by people, because even if you don't think you have the confidence, somebody out there is going to stick around and watch you play. So, yeah, just do what you can. Go to shows, be safe, wear masks, but have a good time, because doing what we can to keep music alive over here, and it's a little bit of hard work, but we're making it possible for everybody, and we want anybody that has something to say or has something that they want to share with all of us and everybody else coming out to these shows, come out and let's get it started. I'd like to meet you.
Perfect segue into the details for this Cupid's Folly event.
Ooh, Cupid's Folly. All right.
Real quick.
All right. This is going to be our first show again with Shelby, our new bass player. She is going to do amazing. Admittedly, we have not practiced. I think we're having our first band practice for this show tomorrow. Or I think it's going to be me, Shelby, and Liam. Hopefully the rest of the band can show out. But no, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun for everybody. Got new chemistry to uphold. Hopefully we can get everything together. I think that Shelby's got it though. But I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not nervous about it, but I think we'll do fine. We'll get everything together. And again, like I said, got some songs from Shelby with her singing, or a song with Shelby singing to look forward to. And all those other Ego Death songs that you might be tired of hearing us perform live by now. Maybe you're not. I think there are people now that know the Ego Death lyrics enough to sing them with us, which is a little embarrassing because a lot of them are not my finest work. But same new member, new song, and same other faces, and most of the songs that you know and maybe not love. Maybe you do. If you do, that's cool.
Date and time, location.
Date and time, location. We will be at American Legion Post 33 in Pensacola, Florida, as always. Looking it up. I'm on February 12th. And honestly, I'm not sure what time it is. It's currently set for 8 o'clock, but I'm trying to get it pushed up to 6. We got a lot of bands to fit in there now. Stay up to date. Ego Death, at Ego Death Pensacola on Instagram, and I think most other social medias. We got a lot of great bands to look forward to. We got Blind Tiger, just got added to the bill. They are on tour, and we will give them all of our support. We got a few of Ego Death's close friends and associates, IPA, the Imperialist Party of America, and we got quite a few bands from Pensacola as well who are playing with us, like Accident Prone, great hardcore punk, thrash punk music, and really looking forward to seeing Cairo. I think that's what they're called. They're like a shoegaze band, and I've always been jealous of people in shoegaze bands because shoegaze music is awesome, and I'm not too good at writing it, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them. But no, yeah, got a lot of cool bands to look out for at Cupid's Folly at Legion Post 33, presented by the Dizzy Arts on February the 12th of 2022.
Yes.